host. My name is Bayo. Waziki, Waziki Life is a health tech firm. We provide medical services online on our website and on our app. You can visit our website, book appointments, talk to our doctors. You can download our app. You can use the options on our app, also book appointments, use our symptom checker if you're having illnesses that you're not sure of. And today we're going to be talking more about health amongst our aged women, let's say from the age of 40 and above. We have different types of medical conditions amongst aging women, and we want to know how we can prevent them, how we can live better and have a healthier life as we grow older. You see women with different health conditions, from arthritis to breast cancer to cervical cancer. There's even one I found recently called osteoporosis, where the bones of elderly people become weak and they can't begin to break. So we need to know how to live, how to become healthy as we grow older. When you see some people say they age like fine wine, they say, how do you age like fine wine? So we're going to be educating everyone, and I hope that we'll be able to learn from one or two, learn a lot actually. And please, I implore everyone, if you have questions, you can put it in the chat section of this platform. We'll be reading the questions as time goes on. Our facilitator today is Dr. Evelyn Shinaike. She's going to be putting us through some of the points that we need to learn today. And I hope that as we listen, we'll be able to, be educated, be able to learn new things, and be able to, that we can use to, change the way we live and probably become better physically and mentally as we grow and grow older. So I'm going to hand over this session to Dr. Evelyn, and she will handle it from here. She's also going to be sharing, she's going to be using, there's going to be a slide so people can also read some of the things, the points that we're going to be talking about today. And hopefully, as this goes on, it's going to run smoothly, God willing. So let me unmute Dr. Evelyn, and we can begin now. Sorry. Okay. Dr. Evelyn, you can unmute yourself if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you.
Good evening,
So
everyone.
let's start. Good evening.
I was hoping it was going to be video so I can see the audience, but then it's fine. Today we'll be talking about maintaining good health as we age. I'm sure everyone can hear me.
Yes,
Mr. Bayer has tested that. Okay, all right. So I'm guessing that there are people younger than 40 here, but it's fine. It's never too early to know about these things. It's never too early to know about your health. And some of the things we're talking about actually affects all age group, maybe more as we age, but then it does affect all age group. I'm trying to share my file. I'm trying to share a file. Sorry. I really can't. Sorry, I don't need a minute.
It's fine. Please, I think we started pretty early, so we have a bit of time. Please bear with us. I think this is taking a bit of time as
Something went wrong. Mr. Bayo, am I still on the meeting?
Yes, you are. Yes,
Okay,
you are.
something went wrong. I can't actually see myself at the meeting, but can you see my screen?
No, we can't see your screen.
Something went like totally wrong. I don't know. I can't control this. I'm sorry. Like I can't fix this. Can I just go on? Can you
okay, just
share the?
Yeah, just go
Can you
on.
help me
Just go on.
share the file so I don't like log out and log back in? Can you help me share the file? Or
Okay.
something?
Let me try to. Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, just start. I'll try and share the file for you.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes. So our health and well-being should actually be a priority, and we should always be intentional about it. I'm sure that's why Waziki Life is organizing health talks like this, because there are some conditions that we think are not common, and then they are normal, and then we still don't have enough information about it. The information we have about it could actually even be wrong. So today we'll try to talk about some of the disease conditions that affect most people, but majorly people above 40, women above 40, and then we'll try to break down some myths. So if we have questions, we could just jot them down. After everything, we'll take questions. Hopefully there'll be enough time to take enough questions. So please jot your questions down as much as possible. Some health conditions are associated with age, as I have said, associated with increasing age. While some can be easily prevented, others are not so easily prevented, but some can be detected early, easily prevented or maintained. That's one of the reasons we're having this health talk today. There are very simple things that we can actually do at home. An important determining factor to some of these health conditions is our lifestyle, the kind of lifestyle we live. I'm sure we've heard this a number of times. We've heard this over and over and over again, and then it is easier said than done. We've heard that we should exercise daily. We've heard that we should eat certain type of food more frequently than others. We should reduce the intake of alcohol. We should stop cigarette consumptions. We've heard this over and over again, but we've noticed that a lot of people are just aware of these disease conditions and things they can do to prevent it, but still don't do anything about it. So after today, I would hope that whatever we learn here, we put it to practice. And most of the things we'll be discussing today is not to scare anybody, is not to doom anybody that, oh, at certain age you would have social condition, or at certain age, when this condition happens to you, there's no cure, or you're just doomed to have those that disease condition. It's not to scare anybody, it's just to make us aware and know what we can do about it. Some of the conditions we'll be talking about today are the common ones we've heard before. We've heard of hypertension before, we've heard of diabetes before, we've heard of obesity before. I'm sure we've heard of those before. Those are some common ones we'll be discussing. But then we'll be discussing others such as osteoporosis, as Mr. Bayo has mentioned earlier. We'll be talking about arthritis. We'll be talking about breast and cervical cancer. When we talk about that, we'll be talking about examination. So I really do hope we can see the slide, because there's a slide on breast examination on that. We'll talk about preventive measures for these cancers, or at least one of them. Hypertension is a global disease. It's a chronic disease. It's not something you have one gets and then you just take medications for a while and then you just stop. It's actually a chronic disease and it is global. It does not just affect Nigerians, it does not just affect women, it does not just affect men. It is global. Hypertension is known as blood pressure greater than 140/90. I'm trying to break this down so that we understand, because I'm sure most of the people I'm talking to are not medical personnel. When they check the BP, there's an upper range and a lower range that is checked. So if it's above 140, it is known as hypertension. And if it's above 90, if the lower range is above 90, so when it's above 140/90, it is known as hypertension. It doesn't necessarily mean that below 140, you are fine, or oh, I'm okay. Once it's below 140, I'm okay. It doesn't necessarily mean that. The normal blood pressure should be between 100 and 120/60 to 80. It shouldn't be higher than that. So when it's between just above 120 to 139, it is known as pre-hypertension. And then measures should be taken before it becomes hypertension. And even hypertension is divided into stages on its own, but we won't talk about that today. There are some signs and symptoms of hypertension. There is, when one has hypertension, there could be headache, there could be palpitations. This is a situation where you hear your chest actually beating, like you feel it. Normally, our chest is beating every minute, we are breathing every minute, but we are not feeling it. But you feel palpitation as if something bad is about to happen. You start feeling your chest beating, blah, 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 blah. That's palpitations. And then you lose sleep at night. Insomnia, you would not be able to sleep at night, immediately because of the headache, or you're just restless, you can't sleep at night. That's what hypertension causes. The easiest way to prevent hypertension is by modifying our lifestyle. It is easy to prevent. There are different types of hypertension. There's the primary hypertension, which affects like 90% of the population of the people with hypertension. 90% of people with hypertension have the first type of hypertension, which is known as primary hypertension. This hypertension doesn't have an exact cause, like it's not caused by a particular disease, while the rest is caused by a particular disease, maybe a kidney disease, an adrenal disease, and all that. But the main type of hypertension, which affects 90% of people with hypertension, is known as primary hypertension. This can be prevented by several things that we do, several simple, basic things that we can do. So it can be maintained or reduced or treated by basic things that we do. First, our diet. I'm sure we've heard, or some of us have heard severally, that excessive salt is not good. So taking very little salt, there's a constituent of salt known as sodium chloride, which actually causes blood pressure to increase. So reducing salt in our meals is very, very necessary, especially when we are already increasing in age. We should reduce salt in our meals. We should watch our weight. We say that often, that, oh, we shouldn't eat so much fat, we shouldn't eat so much sugar, but we should remember to check weight very frequently, and then caution ourselves with what we eat, with what we do. We should exercise frequently, and reduce alcohol intake, stop smoking, and all that. Modify lifestyle generally. Then something that can help to, if one is supposed to be hypertensive, but one is hypertensive, to catch it early, you should have frequent BP checks. You should visit the hospital frequently. Even a roadside pharmacist, even a roadside chemist can check BP, or a pharmacist. We should visit the hospital frequently to have blood pressure checked. And then there are some automated blood pressure machines that are being sold that are not so expensive, that we can also have at home, and then check blood pressure very frequently. You are not too young to check your blood pressure. High blood pressure now is not just for people above 40 or people above 50 or older people. Younger people are beginning to have hypertension now, so we should check blood pressure very frequently. So it's better to buy the machine if you can afford it, or visit the hospital frequently, or a pharmacist to get blood pressure checked. When one already has hypertension, other than modifying the lifestyle with everything we've talked about, diet, exercise, reduce alcohol, take less sugar, watch your weight, because increased weight can lead to atherosclerosis, a condition whereby the arteries are clogged, and then this can lead to high blood pressure. Other than those, if one already has hypertension, the doctors would prescribe medication for it, it is totally possible to maintain once you follow strict medication. It's not, oh, I'm aware of the disease, I take some medications, but I'll take it today, I won't take it tomorrow. There are risks to these things. If hypertension is not checked, it can lead to various other things. It can lead to stroke, it can lead to several other things. So it is good to check very frequently. Even when on medications, you still check to be sure you're taking the right medication, so your doctors can titrate your medications as appropriate. Now we're talking about diabetes. Diabetes is a condition in which the blood sugar, the sugar in the body, the glucose in the body, or sugar in the body, as it is popularly known, is not properly controlled. Now, if the blood sugar, depending on the machine being used to check, if it is above 7 in some machines, 7 millimole per liter. Yes, if it's above 7 millimole per liter on some machines, then the blood sugar is high. If it is above 126 milligram per GL on some machines, then the blood sugar is high. That's depending on the calibration of the machine. So once you have a machine, or a doctor is using a machine for, if a doctor is using a machine for you, they know what to do. But once you have a machine at home yourself, it is calibration is in millimole per liter, up 7, it is diabetes. And if it is 126 milligram per day, it is above that, it is diabetes. These figures that I have mentioned are just for if you've not taken breakfast in the morning. That's fasting blood sugar. You've not taken breakfast in the morning. That's what this figure is for. But if you've taken food, and you check 2 hours after you've taken food, and it is still above 11.1 millimole per liter, for those that the machine is in millimole per liter, then it is diabetes. Or if it is above 200 milligram per liter, then it is also diabetes. This is not saying that below 7 is fine, or below 126 is fine, or below 11.1 is fine if you've eaten and you're checking 2 hours later. There's still a condition known as impaired fasting glucose, in which if it is between 6.1 to 6.9 millimole per liter, then it is known as impaired fasting glucose. It's a stage, it is like a pre-diabetic stage. So then you should still see a doctor. That's if you are checking yourself at home, or you're checking at a pharmacist, you should still see a doctor. I hope I'm not too fast, Mr. Bayo.
I was going to send you a message to kind of slow down a bit.
Oh, okay.
Because I think the information is plenty. As I can see, the information is a lot. They are trying to, maybe because of our time frame.
Yeah, that's why I asked
But please, you can take your time.
Okay. I'm sorry for going too fast.
You can take your time to. You can take your time to send your information. Thank you.
All right. So if I'm getting too fast, please just caution me so I can slow down.
It's fine.
Yeah, thank you. I'll take that again. Diabetes, blood pressure can either be checked before meal, should be checked before meal, or 2 hours after eating. That will give enough time for the food to go through a process. So before meal or 2 hours after eating. But before meal, I don't mean before lunch or before dinner. I mean before breakfast. That's you're fasting. You're just waking up. Before meal, it should be checked. And if the blood glucose is greater than 7 millimole per liter, that's for machines that are calibrated in millimole per liter, then it is diabetes. And if it is greater than 126 milligram per DL for machines that are calibrated in that, it is diabetes. Normally, I'm not supposed to just say it is diabetes, because if you go to the hospital and they check, they'll still check again after a couple of hours to confirm the diagnosis. So it's not just like automatically, it could just be a one-time thing. Yeah, it's diabetes. But this is not saying that values below this 7 or below 11.1, we are not supposed to be worried about it. There's a condition known as impaired fasting glucose, impaired fasting sugar. Now, this condition is kind of pre-diabetes, just like there was a pre-hypertensive condition. This is a pre-diabetes. It's a kind of, oh, your sugar is almost getting to diabetes, I'm warning you, that kind of thing. That's what it is. So if the glucose is between 6.1 to 6.9, it is pre-diabetes, and then you should see the doctor. They tell you what to do. Most times it's just to modify your lifestyle. As we are getting to see, lifestyle modification is important in most of these disease conditions. And there are some signs and symptoms associated with diabetes. One could be urinating excessively. One could be having excessive thirst. You could just want to drink water. You could be urinating excessively and all that. And blood glucose monitoring is important for that. Blood glucose monitoring is very, very important. It's something you can also do on your own at home, other than visiting the hospital. The machines are also readily available. So you can easily get it. They are not like very super expensive. There are some automated ones that you can easily check on your own, and or somebody at home can check for you. So wherever you get the machine, you'll be taught how to use it, and you can easily be checked. And the conditions that cause pre-diabetic conditions are the same conditions that will just advance to cause diabetic conditions. There are still conditions such as the causes of the pre-diabetic conditions are still the same causes of the diabetic conditions, though diabetes itself is divided into two types. There's the type 1 and then there's the type 2. Diabetes does not necessarily affect just people that are old or people that consume a lot of sugar. It could also affect children. Most times, the type 1 affects children, and then the type 2 is mostly seen in adults. And there are different reasons for this, which we shouldn't concern ourselves about today. But taking excessive, not eating the right diet, not taking the right diet, taking excessive junks, taking things that contain a lot of sugar can cause diabetes, can lead to diabetes, or can be a risk factor for diabetes. Excessive weight gain can also be a risk factor for diabetes. It is often said that conditions such as hypertension, diabetes, and obesity, they go hand in hand. In a situation where you see somebody that is obese, or that the weight is high, the person probably have diabetes and then might have hypertension too and all that. They are all probabilities, but they go hand in hand in most cases. So it is still the same lifestyle modifications, reduce alcohol, exercise frequently, ensure that your meals are well checked. You don't just eat anything, you don't just eat junks. You eat a lot of vegetables, you eat more of vegetables and fruits. So if you have a plate of food and you want to say, oh, how do I serve my food? You can divide your plate into 3. Make sure that one portion is vegetables and fruits, while the second portion is divided into 2, then a little portion for maybe rice, eba, or whatever, and then the next maybe meat and all that. So vegetables and fruits should always be more than the main dish. It should always be more than eba or amala, or I'm sure you understand what I'm trying to say. So vegetables and fruits are very important in diabetes. Very quickly, I want to talk about osteoporosis. Earlier, Mr. Bayo mentioned that I came across osteoporosis. This disease condition is a condition in which the bones become weak and they become fragile, and then they can easily break. Just an adult falls and then they break their bones more easily than younger ones because of osteoporosis. Usually, the bones are like how do I describe it now? They're also cells too. They're like bone cells. Bones have cells too. So as some cells die, some are being made. But as we grow older, some reasons cause as bones are dying, some things happen in the body as we grow older that makes the bones not regenerate very easily, or not regenerate as easily as they die, which is not like that in younger people. It is a very common problem, and it's not really something to be worried about. We're talking about it today because it is commoner in women than it is in men, especially in older women. About 50% of women usually have conditions that show that osteoporosis are the cause. Maybe they have fractures easily and all that. And some causes of osteoporosis include calcium or vitamin D deficiency. Now we're coming back to diet again. Calcium can be seen in a lot of meals, and we can actually reduce the risk of getting osteoporosis, or at least maintain it or not make it so bad if we take meals that contain calcium. These meals still include vegetables. Green leafy vegetables contain calcium. Fish with bone, especially the ones that will eat the bone with it. Fish with bones, they contain calcium. Sardine, I think sardine is the type, not the thin one, because I don't really recommend canned food. But sardines themselves, like they sell sardines in the market, like fresh ones with their bones. Their bones are quite soft, and then you can get calcium from it. You can get calcium from milk, and then there are some meals that there's already calcium fortifications. Then vitamin D deficiency, we get this from the sun. Osteoporosis is known to occur more in areas where there is not enough sun. But we shouldn't have a problem of this in Nigeria, especially early morning sun. We have enough of this. So we shouldn't have this issue at all in Nigeria. Like we should be able to control it compared to areas where they don't have we should be able to control it compared to areas where they don't have enough sunlight, especially in the morning. So osteoporosis is something we should be able to work on. And there's also thyroid and parathyroid abnormalities. These are big dramas we shouldn't worry ourselves about. Now, estrogen and testosterone. I love to talk about this estrogen. Why I want to just quickly mention this, something about this estrogen deficiency, is because as women, as people generally, men and women, we have hormones, we have some chemicals in our body that run day-to-day things for us. Especially as women, we have like several hormones that run things for us. Some of these hormones would affect menstruation, childbirth, getting pregnant, and all that. So as we grow older, that we don't need these hormones again, we don't need to menstruate, childbirth, and everything. Estrogen reduces, and then there's a deficiency of this. And estrogen deficiency has been linked to osteoporosis. So as we are already like targeted for this disease. That's why we should focus on other things, such as eating meals that have enough calcium, trying to get enough vitamin D. Since we're in Nigeria, some of us are in Nigeria now, and then we're lucky we have this freely. So we should be able to get this, take enough water and all that to help with this. Prevention of osteoporosis. We're still coming back to this lifestyle modification, as we've seen severally over and over again. It all boils down to our lifestyle. Exercise frequently, you help the bones. Exercise kind of trains the bones, they just regenerate, like you just train them to regenerate more frequently. You start exercising early, not just when you're already in menopause and estrogen is already deficient. Start exercising early, at least 30 minutes of active exercise or moderately active exercise per day, or 5 days a week. At least 30 minutes of moderately active exercise per day or 5 days a week. Then good diet, still vegetables. It can't be emphasized enough. Vegetables are very important. Milk is very important. Fish is super important, especially with the ones we can actually chew the bones. That's where we can get enough calcium from. And we eat these very frequently, not just once a week of vegetable. We take it very frequently. And then adequate sunlight, as I've mentioned before. These are preventive measures for osteoporosis. We should also quit smoking. I know some people say, oh, do women smoke? Yeah, yes, women do smoke. We should quit smoking and reduce alcohol to the barest minimum. These things can help to prevent osteoporosis, which we are already susceptible to. This is not to scare you, but we are already susceptible to it as females. So we should modify our lifestyles in a way that we can combat it even before it comes. As I talked about the prevention before, it is way easier to focus on prevention for any disease condition rather than its management. And if you notice that you're getting older, you're getting fractures, you just see your doctor. There are several medications to use. And your doctors will prescribe that. Very quickly, I'll talk about arthritis very quickly. Arthritis is known as inflammation of one or more joints causing pain or stiffness. Now, inflammation could seem like a big word, but it's just a condition in which there will just be swelling of the joint, pain in the joint. The joint might feel a little warm, and it could be caused by infection or other causes. And then this pain will lead to stiffness of the joints and all that. We see this with old people. We know a lot of old people complain of joints. Oh, my hip is paining me, my knee is paining me, or they can't walk properly, especially those that are obese or their weight is on the high side. And there are several types of arthritis with different causes that affect different people. These types include osteoporosis, which we'll discuss a little today, rheumatoid arthritis, and septic arthritis. Septic arthritis is caused by infection. Rheumatoid arthritis is just inflammation. And then we talk about osteoarthritis, which is more common with older people. It gets worsens with age. It occurs in younger people, but very few younger people too, but very few young people. It occurs more as we grow older. Osteoarthritis is caused due to wear and tear. That's overuse. I mean, when as we're young, we're always walking, we're always using our joints, and then several years of using just causes wear and tear. When two, how do I explain now? When two things are like rubbing over each other very frequently, day in, day out for years, it just wears off. Like the surfaces just wear off, and whatever it is that has been absorbing all the tension that as they've been rubbing over each other, just become very thin. Like the thin slippers that you use frequently, just become very flat, and then this condition is known as osteoarthritis.
All this
There's
straight
pain.
lining is gone.
Yes, there's pain, there's stiffness. You can't really use it as often as you used to use it. This is normal in old people. It is not exclusively occurring in just older people, but it's very common with old people. It is seen more commonly in joints that bear weight, as I've said before, when you keep using it, such as the hips, the feet. These are joints that bear like a lot of weight. So it is seen in those joints. And then, of course, we're familiar with it. We might not know the name, but a lot of old people complain, oh, my waist is paining me, my ankle is paining me, and all that. The management is usually with physical therapy, still exercise. This physical therapy, a therapist will just tell you what to do, the kind of range of movements to do, just to maybe alleviate the pain or make it a little easier. But these are some things that might happen. It might not happen to everybody, but it will happen to like a lot of people. Exercise helps too. And then if you keep fit from when you're younger, as you grow older, some things just get better. Like some things that are supposed to happen might still happen, but they won't be as bad as if you weren't fit in the first place, if your weight is already on the big side, if you were not eating healthy, if you're not exercising from a certain age already. Not when you get older if you start exercising. So I'm sure some of us here are younger, so we should start exercising early. Even people above 40, 50 start exercising early, not when these things begin to happen. Then some management options will still include pain relief from doctors, and then they will try to modify diet to help with this condition. Now, I want to quickly talk about breast cancer and cervical cancer. Now, I know when we hear cancer, we just automatically get worried. This is not to scare anybody. This is just to make sure that we are completely aware of these conditions. They are all over. They are common. They are even commoner now. And we should actually have a certain level of knowledge, if not professional knowledge, because we're not all professionals here. We should know about it. We should know what to do before it happens, so it doesn't happen, or when it happens, what causes it. Some of the causes we can't really do anything about. Some of the causes it's just meant to happen. But what we can do to detect early so that management can be easier and better and faster. So first, I'm talking about breast cancer. Breast cancer is the commonest cancer among women. It is even commoner between age 35 to 70 years. That's one of the reasons I'm talking about it today. People less than 35 get it, but very few people. And people greater than 70, maybe a very little percent. I think about 10 to 12% of people with cancer are above 70, or breast cancer, sorry, are above 70. And contrary to popular opinion, it does not only present itself with swelling. So it's not just when you see, I know we've been told about breast exams. So it's not just when you see swelling on your breast that it is cancer. First, there are other things that could be. It could just be a breast tumor can either be cancer, or it could just be benign. It could be something not so serious that they will just remove, or they will just say, oh, don't worry about it and everything. But because we're talking about cancer today, I would like to say it's not every swelling. It does not just present with swelling. Breast cancer does not just present with swelling. It presents with something as minute as just a skin discoloration on the breast. It could just be, you just notice, oh, my breast just has a darker patch, or something red, or something like a scratch mark somewhere around the breast. It could just be a skin change around the breast. It could also be like an ulceration, something like a wound. It could just be like a bruise, like a scratch. or a full ulceration, like a wound on the breast. So it's not just when, oh, I check my breast and then I'm just checking for swelling or I'm checking for lumps. No, it's not just that, like it could be cancer. It could just be, oh, my left breast looks, usually one breast would look bigger than the other, but it could be, oh, this left breast is actually looking way bigger than it used to be, and then the small one is still, and that does not just mean that it is cancer. It could be any other thing. That's why you should visit to the doctor as soon as you see these things. That's why you should check your breast very frequently. Then breast cancer can still present with maybe a discharge from the nipple. It could just be a bloody discharge or something that looks like milk or cheese from the breast, or something smelly or something. It could just be that. But that still does not say it is breast cancer. There could be other things that could present as such. But it is very important to know that it's not just swelling that is breast cancer. Now, risk factors for breast cancer include previous history of breast cancer. So if you've had breast cancer on one breast, there's a possibility that you might get it on the other breast. So you should check frequently. I'll talk about what the screenings to do. So you should still check the breast frequency. I'm sure whatever hospital has seen it on one breast and have treated it or done surgery will tell you what to do about the second breast and how frequently you need to check. It could also be another risk factor is family history of breast cancer or other cancers. If there's a family relative, a relative that has had it, especially a close relative that has had it, there's a possibility that one might have it. So one should check very frequently. It could also be genetics. This we can't control. It's just a genetic makeup, how we are made. Exposure to radiation can also cause it. Radiation can be gotten from different things now. They talk about a lot of things that radiation can be gotten from now, so we can check that up. It can be gotten from different things, x-rays, some machines, radiate emissions and all that. Some people, well, breast cancer has been said that some people that start menstruation very, very early, or those that enter menopause late can get breast cancer, might get breast cancer. Use of contraceptive too has been likened to a cause, and this does not mean that one should not get contraceptive or one should be worried about contraceptive. They said it causes cancer, so I won't get contraceptive. You should always get information from your doctor so they tell you which one is suitable for you to use. And people that don't breastfeed frequently, that didn't breastfeed adequately or that don't breastfeed at all, are likely to have breast cancer, but this does not mean that everybody that didn't breastfeed will get breast cancer. Smoking has also been likened to breast cancer, so we should stop that if we do that. Then obesity too. This still comes down to lifestyle modification, adequate exercise, eat the right diet, don't eat junks, check your weight frequently. I forgot to mention that earlier. Check your weight frequently. The weighing scale as well as the BP machine and the blood glucose machine can be easily gotten at home. They are not so expensive. And if one cannot get them, roadside chemists, even pharmacists, hospitals would easily check for you if you walk in there to ask. And you pay very little token for some of these tests. To reduce the risk of breast cancer, as I've said before, lifestyle modification is very important. Exercise well, reduce smoking or stop smoking, sorry, reduce alcohol, exercise well, eat good food, watch your weight well. Be careful about exposure to radiation. Be careful, talk to your doctors before taking contraception. Don't just say, oh, my neighbor is taking this contraception, I should also take this type of contraception. You should talk to your doctors before making decisions. Try to breastfeed. Once you have a baby, try to breastfeed for at least 6 months exclusively, then a year and above. Early detection is very important for cancers. It's early detection, detecting early whether one has it would determine the course of management. It would always determine the course of management. The management would just be a very easy, not so stressful thing. But if one has detected late, it might just lead to something else. So detecting early is very important, and we can do this by examinations, examining the breast very frequently. We've heard several about self-breast examination. There was a slide here, there's a slide I attached that has to do with breast examination. You can do this while standing, facing a mirror. You can do this in the bathroom. I think it's even easier to do it in the bathroom when you're about to bath, so you don't even forget to do this. Stand in front of a mirror in the bathroom. When your body is even wet and soapy, I think it's even easier that way. You can do this while lying down too. Just check it frequently. There are ways to check there are specific ways to do it. It's not just, oh, I'm just going to rub my breast and all that. You have to stand, look at the breast very well, because I've said before that it's not just swelling or increase in size that means there's breast cancer. There could be other things, discoloration. So you have to check very well. You have to look at the breast very well for discolorations, ulcerations, nipple discharge. You have to check the nipple very well. How is it looking and everything. You have to check everything properly. So you have to look at the mirror, look down at the breast properly and check well. Then you stand with both hands. Mr. Bai, please can you go to the next slide? You
Okay,
yes,
sure, hold on.
yes. That's the slide if you can see it. So after looking at the changes on the breast, the shape, whether it has gotten bigger, the color of the skin, the nipple, whether there's discharge and everything, you place your hands firmly on your hips, around your hips, and then you bend forward or backward, bend forward and then backward too, and then you look for changes again because some might not even be very visible when you're just standing straight and everything. So you bend forward, you check again, bend backward, check again, then you stand upright, maybe still while facing the mirror or while in the shower. Just place one hand above your head as if you want to use it to support your head like a pillow, and then use the second one to check the side of the breast that your hand, the one that you have your hand up. So if you have your left hand up, you're using your right hand to check your left breast, and then you're checking properly. You're checking everything round. You're starting from one side of the breast, and then you're going round, round, round. You do the same thing for the next breast. Check round like that, and then you use two fingers to check the nipple. You press it to see if there's any discharge. There could be any color of discharge or anything. You check it very well with the with two fingers, and then you can do the same thing for the second breast. You can also do it while lying down. This is very important. It's very important to do it very frequently. This is the easiest way to detect if there's any changes in your breast and the fastest way to know. Then you go to the hospital and then they'll do other examinations. So the doctor himself would also examine, which is known as the clinical examination. It is said that once one is above 40, one should do frequent screening mammography. A mammography is like an X-ray for the breast. A mammogram is like an X-ray for the breast. So they check, they do it. You do it very frequently, once a year, at least once a year, to check frequently. It is also very good to. It's also very good because it detects breast cancer at the very early stages. So it is good to do this frequently. So you can just talk to your doctor about it, book an appointment, and then you can do it yearly. If you're above once you're above 40, it is good to do it yearly. The management of breast cancer depends on the stage of detection. It's not like, oh, I'll just take this drug and to go, or I'll just have this chemotherapy and to go. They just do so. It depends on the stage of the detection. That's why it is good to detect very early. It also depends on the age of the person. The doctors will decide the management if one has it. So it is very good to detect very early because it is something that will just be easily removed and that will be the end of it. So it's better to check very early. Very quickly, I'd like to talk about cervical cancer. Cervical cancer is the second most common cancer among Nigerian women. That's why I decided to talk about it today. It is not as common as breast cancer, but it is quite common too. The risk factors for cervical cancer could include human papilloma virus. This is the HPV virus. I'm sure some of us have heard about it before. People get it from multiple sexual partners, having sex early, or if one sexual partner has multiple sexual partners. Getting infected by the virus could mean that in a couple of years, in some years, one it could advance to get into becoming cervical cancer. Some of the risk factors also include tobacco smoking. This also, we're coming back again to our lifestyle modification, tobacco smoking, and then if one is immunosuppression can occur due to several reasons, including diabetes. So we're still back to lifestyle modifications. And other disease conditions can cause immunosuppression. Prevention of cervical cancer. Cervical cancer is one of the easiest cancer to prevent, like compared to other cancers affecting women. It has a vaccine, but well, the vaccine is too late for somebody above 40 because it is given to girls, I think around 13 to 18, if they've not started having sex. That's when the vaccine is useful. But there is cervical cancer as a precancerous condition. Just as I said before, that hypertension has pre-hypertensive stage, diabetes has pre-hypertensive stage. Cervical cancer has a precancerous condition, and this is not even seen in almost every other cancer. The precancerous stage can easily be seen by screening. So scheduling screening at least yearly or twice a year is important. Pap smear, it is called pap smear. If you walk into any, I'm sure of tertiary hospitals, some even do it for free. Why some you have to pay, and then some private places too. You get pap smear done very easily. It is a station where some cells of the cervix, that's where cervical cancer affects. Just after the vagina is the cervix. So some cells of the cervix is removed and then tested to see the kind of cells that are there. If pap smear is done and the precancerous stage is same, it can be easily treated, like totally treated, not oh I had cancer, like totally treated before it advances to full-blown cervical cancer. So it can easily be treated before it advances to full-blown cervical cancer. And the management is easily done by is managed by, sorry, I said easily, but it is managed by doctor. So if you see your doctor, in conclusion, we've seen that most of these conditions, how we live our lifestyle is very important. Diet, exercise, reduce um, reduce alcohol intake, stop cigarette smoking, eat good food, not just junks, not sugary food. I know it could be really tempting, especially if you're already addicted to taking these drinks or these sweet things, reduce them to the barest minimum, ensure that your meals have enough vegetables and fruits, ensure fruits are very important and they are easily and readily available, ensure you have tests done very frequently. That blood glucose test can easily be done anywhere. It can even be done at home because the machines are readily available. BP check can also be done at home. There are automated machines now that can easily be used. You can easily use it yourself. So you could get BP machines or do it in a pharmacy or around. It is very common and everywhere. Check your weight frequently. Ensure you monitor your weight frequently. Modify this lifestyle. Have tests done. Check your breast frequently. You can do that in the shower every morning, every other morning, every 2 days. Just check. Have breast examinations done, self-examination. Do it under the shower so that you don't forget. If you've already attached it to the shower, or when you just lie down at night on your bed, you won't forget to do it. So have breast examinations done. Then register in the hospital to have mammograms done. You can have mammograms done yearly if you're above 40. And then cervical cancer, please have pap smear done. Pap smear, there's awareness everywhere now. There are a lot of contacts to have pap smear done, especially teaching hospitals. Have pap smear done as frequent as possible, like twice a year or once a year. They will tell you what to do when you go for the first one. Just book one as soon as possible, as soon as next week, and have one done to check, because cervical cancer is easily, like the precancerous stage is easily treatable compared to other cancers. Thank you very much. Mr. Brown.
Okay, thank you. I'm here. I'm here. This is we still have 15 minutes. This is very nice. Do we have any questions amongst the group that we would like to ask? Please, um, can people write their questions if they have any in the chat platform? Let me read through them and see if we can ask some questions. So there's one here that says, can eating too much carbohydrate food cause pre-diabetic stage?
Can I answer them immediately?
Yes, I'll be asking them and then you can answer.
So the thing about carbohydrates means is that they become sugar in the body, like their end product is sugar. Yes, they can cause the same things that can cause diabetes will cause the pre-diabetic stage. So, of course, everybody that has diabetes now were once pre-diabetic. So the same things that would cause diabetes will cause the pre-diabetic stage. So yes, eating excess carbohydrate or eating carbohydrate alone would cause it. That's why I talked about dividing if you get a plate, you can divide your plate into two. Make sure one portion is vegetables and fruit, and the other portion can then contain your carbohydrates or whatever you want to eat with meat. So those ones are taking like half portion, and if you're dividing them, the carbohydrates will be like a lot compared to the vegetables and the fruits. So yes, eating excessive carbohydrates can cause the pre-diabetic stage of diabetes.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Also, this one says, is morning runs classified as moderate exercise? I know you're talking about having moderate exercise for.
Yes. So I said at least moderate exercise, moderate activity. The morning runs is exercise. I don't know how fast the person will be running. I don't know. As long as it is above moderate, it's not just. So it's exercise. Yes, it's good exercise. You know, you'd have to consider your age before you determine the exercise. You have to consider um your heart condition. So you have to still talk to your doctor. You can't just start running if you already have a serious heart condition or something that is being managed, the heart condition that is being managed in the hospital to determine the type of exercise to do. Brisk walking is also important. So it doesn't have to be just running in the morning, waking up early to run. There's something that is called brisk walking. There's something that is called brisk walking. You're walking really fast. That's brisk walking. So just be intentional about the exercise. It doesn't have to be running. Yes, morning run is good. Waking up early to run is good. But it doesn't just have to be running. Just be intentional about the exercise. And it should be at least 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Yes, at least 30 minutes per day. Every day, or at least 5 days a week.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for. So this question is from Ikeshe Adekweju. It says, how do you treat low blood pressure?
So treating low blood pressure is majorly done in the hospital. That's majorly done in the hospital. Just like okay, if one has low blood pressure, before you can even detect it, you probably be seeing symptoms already. And most times, people with low blood pressure are already like being rushed to the hospital. Low blood pressure is also not something that we see like very frequently. Low blood pressure is also not something we see very frequently. So yes, if one has low blood pressure and you get to the hospital, they will probably give you fluids that contain sodium and chloride. Remember, I talked about reducing salt intake. That salt is sodium and chloride. So in a situation where one has low blood pressure, I think it is safe to say that if you're taking somebody to the hospital, you know that it's low blood pressure. But the problem, do you know that it is low blood pressure? Like, to just know at home yourself that you have low blood pressure. Like if you check, okay, low blood pressure, then you can eat food that contains those things that maybe, okay, salt, a little more salt and all that. But once you have low blood pressure, it's probably just that you can just rest. Once one checks and you have low blood pressure, and you are to get low blood pressure most times, the person is already on maybe antihypertensive. That's why that's like number one cause of low blood pressure. You're already on antihypertensive, or there's another disease condition, which means you have to go to the hospital. But if you're already on antihypertensive and you check your blood pressure in the morning, usually people on antihypertensives are told, oh, sorry, antihypertensives are drugs to treat hypertension. They're usually told to check their BP before or after taking the antihypertensive. So once you check, it means that you're skipping that antihypertensive for that morning. Your blood pressure is already low, and then you call your doctor immediately. You tell if you're coming in for admission, or if you just wait and check again in the afternoon. But most times it's people that are already on antihypertensives that get hypertension and that get low blood pressure. It's called hypotension. And then the doctors would have even told them, want to check your blood pressure, and then you see that it is low. This is what you should do. Skip the antihypertensive, call me immediately, call me if it is this low and everything. But for somebody to have very, very low pressure, that would mean that you have to do something as an emergency. Probably not be checking blood pressure, because the person already shows symptoms. The person might just be sweating, the person might have fainted, the person might have gone unconscious and all that. So yes, that's it.
So I think what this question how it says, how do you treat low blood pressure? The simple answer should be go to a hospital. You cannot treat low blood pressure by yourself.
No.
You have to have a doctor's.
there are some people that have disease condition causing low blood pressure. That's why you should see a doctor. That's why you shouldn't treat it on your own. But in a condition where it is just like low, like you just checked at home, it is low. It's not like you've had hypertension before. You are already on hypertensive drugs with instructions from your doctor. You can actually take salt in your food. There are people with hypertension that the doctors will tell them to add salt to their food, just as they will say, "Oh, reduce salt in your own food." A doctor will tell somebody with hypertension to please now add salt to your food. So yes, you can add salt to your food, but how do you know the quantity to take? Which is why you should go to the hospital where you'll be given intravenous fluid that already contains sodium chloride that you need from the salt.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because
Thank
how
you
do you
very
know the
much for that.
quantity to take? What if it tilts you to something else and all that?
So yeah, at the end of the day, a doctor's appointment is still the best way to go about it.
It's still the best way to go
Let
about
the
it.
doctor solve it.
Yes, it's
Yes.
still the best way to
So
go.
this question is: so I eat very healthy and eat vegetables a lot. At times, that's all I eat in a day, but
Yeah,
sometimes
sorry.
they make me feel. I eat very healthy and eat vegetables a lot.
Okay.
That at times, that's all I eat in a day, but sometimes they make me feel lightheaded and nauseated. Am I overdoing it?
So I've been asked this question before by a friend. It is important to know that the fact that vegetables are good does not mean that should be your only meal for the day. You can take vegetables as breakfast and then eat something else at for lunch and eat something else. Nobody's saying that you shouldn't take other meals. I know some people are on diet and they want to take vegetables. They want to take vegetables a lot, which is good. Even diabetic patients, we usually tell them you don't just eat only vegetables. Oh, because you have diabetes now, you should not take kebab at all, or you should not take rice at all. That's why they say you should look at make a feast, eat the quantity. If you're eating eba now, that should be the quantity of the eba, should be your feast, and the vegetables should be double that portion. Now, you feel lightheaded probably because you didn't eat enough. If you take just vegetables in the morning and it's already evening, you probably feel lightheaded because you're already getting hypoglycemic. You're not eating well. So what you should do is you should take vegetables a lot, which is good, but it should not be all you eat in a day. You should take other things. Everything you eat is important for your body. It's not just vegetables that are important. Fruits are important. Carbohydrate is also important. You can't have low blood glucose. Sorry, I didn't even talk about low blood glucose. You can't have low blood glucose too. You can't have like you need glucose because sugar should be like a fuel for you. So you can't have low of it. You can't have high of it. You should be moderate. Everything should be in moderation. So yes,
Mm.
you need all of those things. You still need that carbohydrate. You still need sugar. You still need meat. You still need yes, you still need meat for protein. You still need vegetables. You still need fruit. You need everything in moderation. You need water too. You need everything in moderation. So no, you shouldn't eat just vegetables throughout the whole day. You should eat other parts of food too. Just vegetables and fruit should be more and a lot. I had a lecturer that used to say you should eat fruits of different colors every day, which means you're not just taking only oranges because they all have different things in them. So oranges, cucumber, watermelon, they all have different things in them too. So it's not only, oh, I took only watermelon all day or I took only oranges all day. They all have different things in them. So you should eat variety too. The fact that you should eat healthy does not mean you should eat boring. Yeah.
Mm. Okay. I think our last question is: what are the risks of low blood pressure, and is this risky in pregnancy?
Yes, low blood pressure is actually an emergency. Yes, low blood pressure is actually an emergency. Um, what are the risks of low blood
Is it
pressure?
risky? Okay, it's risky in pregnancy.
Pregnancy. Look, the blood pressure is supposed to keep your blood pumping. Okay, so the blood pressure itself is the pressure in the arteries. Now, these arteries take blood from the heart all over the body. Now, the pressure in this artery is the one that is circulating. How do I explain this? Pumping machine now. Let's say the pumping machine is like the heart. A pumping machine, you made a borehole in your house and you have a pumping machine. That's like the heart. Then the pipes are like the arteries. Now the pressure, there's definitely a pressure when they were making the borehole. There's a distance they have to get to generate the kind of pressure that is needed. The pumping machine itself has to generate the kind of pressure to circulate water all through the house. Now, if this pressure is too much, the pipes will burst. Or
Yes.
you start seeing signs. You start seeing signs. Sometimes when the water is coming out, you start seeing signs. And then if the pressure is too low, this water will not circulate. So it's just the same thing as the blood pressure. If the blood pressure is very low, there will be less circulation of blood all through the body, which means different organs will begin to show problems. One could go into coma. One could have renal problems. Urine could be reduced and all that. There are different parts of the body that will show signs and symptoms of blood pressure, of low blood pressure.
Of low blood pressure.
Yes. So yeah, that's just
it. Thank you. To 7:00. I think we've done 1 hour of this. Thank you very much, Dr. Shineki, for this very informative talk that we have had today. Before I go, I'd like to mention that if anybody has more questions that they would like to, address, you can sign up on our platform, that's at wazikilife.com, or use our application, that's Waziki Life. Is on your Apple Store or your Android Play Store, and sign up, book an appointment with a doctor. You can ask questions concerning your health. You can do a random routine checkup online if you have to. We offer that service as well, and all your questions will be answered regarding your health going forward. I want to thank everybody for joining me in this platform. We promise to have more talks going forward, and we will engage every one of you as we continue in this. Thank you very much for this, and I hope everybody has a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shinaki.
Thank you.